In the heart of Maplewood Estates, where every lawn was a velvet green carpet and every mailbox stood at precisely 42 inches, Karen Caldwell held court. At 52, with a platinum bob that never wavered in the breeze and a smile sharp enough to slice through dissent, she was the unchallenged president of the Maplewood Homeowners Association. Her navy blazer, adorned with a gold HOA pin, was as much a uniform as a crown. To Karen, Maplewood's 237 homes were her kingdom, governed by a 47-page rulebook she'd crafted with the precision of a dictator's manifesto. Karen's mornings began at 5:30 a.m., patrolling the streets in her white Lexus SUV, her eyes scanning for infractions, a stray basketball hoop, a non-approved flower pot, a car parked a fraction too close to a hydrant. Her iPad, always at hand, logged violations with a tap, each entry fueling her sense of control. Today, her target was 214 Oak Lane, home of Lila Gwynn, a new resident who dared to plant a butterfly garden bursting with marigolds and cosmos, colors that screamed rebellion against Maplewood's beige and sage palette. Lila, 29, was a graphic designer who'd moved to Maplewood 3 months ago, seeking a safe haven for her 6-year-old daughter, Mia. The gated community, with its playgrounds and quiet streets, seemed perfect, despite the steep HOA fees. But Karen's first violation notice, delivered with a saccharine smile, shattered that illusion. "Ms. Nguyen," Karen said, standing on Lila's porch, a crisp envelope in hand, "Maplewood has standards. Your garden disrupts our aesthetic cohesion." Lila, in paint-splattered jeans and juggling a phone call with a client, took the letter. "It's just flowers," she said, her voice tight. "Mia loves them." "Children love many things," Karen replied, her eyes flicking to Mia's tricycle, parked an inch off the designated path. "But rules keep us civilized. You have 7 days to comply." Lila watched Karen glide back to her SUV, her stomach churning. She'd heard whispers about Karen's iron grip, fines for untrimmed hedges, threats over unapproved paint colors, but hadn't expected such petty zeal. As Mia ran out, clutching a daisy, Lila resolved to fight back. She didn't know how, but she wouldn't let Karen bully her into submission. Across the street, Greg Hensley watched from his study window, his bifocals perched low. A retired accountant, Greg had moved to Maplewood for peace, not tyranny. He'd clashed with Karen last year over his unauthorized bird feeder, earning a $200 fine. Since then, he'd been quietly auditing the HOA's public financials, noticing oddities: $50,000 for landscaping when volunteers mowed the lawns, $15,000 for consulting with no named consultant. Greg suspected Karen was skimming funds, but he needed proof. As Karen's SUV rolled past, he jotted down her license plate, a habit born of growing suspicion. That night, Maplewood's tranquility shattered. At 2 a.m., someone spray-painted HOA sucks in neon orange across the community center's white stucco walls. By dawn, residents clustered around the defaced building, murmuring in shock. Karen, summoned by the security guard, arrived in a tailored trench coat, her face a mask of outrage. "This is an attack on our values," she declared, her voice carrying over the crowd. "We need action, cameras, patrols, higher fees to protect our community." Most nodded, fear trumping skepticism. But Greg, standing at the back, noticed Karen's eyes gleam with something like satisfaction. He slipped away, determined to dig deeper. The vandalism brought the police to Maplewood. Detective Maria Salazar, 42, led the investigation, her dark eyes scanning the graffiti with practiced calm. A 15-year veteran, Salazar had seen it all: gang tags, corporate embezzlement, suburban feuds turned violent. Maplewood's pristine facade didn't fool her, perfection bred secrets. Beside her, Officer Tom Reed, 25, scribbled notes, his rookie enthusiasm barely contained. Reed, fresh from the academy, saw Maplewood as a step toward detective, a chance to prove himself. Karen greeted them at the community center, offering coffee and a leather-bound binder labeled Maplewood Incident Log. Her smile was warm, but Salazar caught the calculation behind it. "Detective, officer," Karen said, "this vandalism is unprecedented. I've compiled profiles of potential troublemakers, residents who've challenged our rules. Salazar flipped through the binder, noting Lila Nguyen's name at the top, complete with photos of her garden and a list of violations. Other names followed: Greg Hensley, a teen named Ethan Carter, even the elderly Mrs. Patel, whose curry smells had sparked complaints. "Thorough," Salazar said, her tone neutral. "We'll follow up." Reed, eager to please, took the binder. "This is great, Mrs. Caldwell. Any leads on who did this?" Karen leaned in, her voice low. Lila Nguyen's been defiant. "Late-night visitors, that chaotic garden. I'd start there." Salazar's jaw tightened. She'd dealt with Karens before, self-appointed gatekeepers who weaponized community standards. But she played along, thanking Karen and assigning Reed to canvass the neighborhood. As they left, Salazar noticed Karen's eyes linger on Reed, like a predator sizing up prey. Over the next week, the vandalism escalated. Mailboxes were smashed, tires slashed, a gazebo torched. Residents clamored for answers, and Karen called an emergency HOA meeting. The community center buzzed with fear as she took the podium, her voice ringing with authority. "We're under siege," she said. "I propose a $300 per household security fee to fund cameras and private patrols. The police are trying, but we must protect ourselves." Greg stood, his voice steady. "Karen, where's the money going?" "Last year's budget showed $70,000 in vague expenses. Can we see a breakdown?" The room hushed. Karen's smile didn't waver, but her knuckles whitened on the podium. "Greg, this isn't the time for numbers. It's about safety." A few residents clapped, but others exchanged uneasy glances. Lila, sitting with Mia, felt a surge of gratitude for Greg's courage. She'd met him days earlier, when he'd knocked on her door with a warning, "Karen's not what she seems. Watch your back." After the meeting, Reed approached Karen, binder in hand. "I checked on Lila Nguyen. No priors, but her ex-husband's been around. Could be trouble." Karen's eyes lit up. "Exactly, Tom. Keep digging. I'll let you know if I hear anything." Salazar, overhearing, pulled Reed aside later. "You're too cozy with Caldwell. She's not your partner, she's a civilian with an agenda." Reed flushed. "She's just helping, detective." "Helping herself, maybe," Salazar said, her mind already turning to Karen's binder. It was too perfect, too curated. She decided to dig into Karen's past. Karen's control relied on fear, and fear needed fuel. Unknown to Maplewood, she'd hired Vince the Shadow Malone, a 38-year-old drifter with a rap sheet for petty theft. Karen had met him through a disreputable contractor who'd fixed her roof years ago. For $10,000, siphoned from HOA funds, Vince agreed to vandalize Maplewood, each act calibrated to justify Karen's power grab. Their deal was simple: he'd escalate the crimes, culminating in a staged break-in at the HOA office, where Karen would steal the $200,000 reserve fund and split it with him. Karen met Vince at the Rusty Anchor, a dive bar 20 miles from Maplewood. In a dimly lit booth, she slid him an envelope of cash. "Next, I want the playground hit," she said. "Something to scare the parents." Vince, his hoodie hiding half his face, grinned. "You're a piece of work, lady. Why not just take the money and run?" Karen's eyes narrowed. "Because I'm not a thief, Vincent. I'm building a legacy. Maplewood needs me." Vince shrugged, pocketing the cash. He didn't care about her delusions, only the payout. But he was starting to resent her condescension. Karen, sensing his shift, tightened her grip, feeding him just enough cash to keep him loyal. Meanwhile, Lila faced mounting harassment. Her car was keyed, her mailbox stuffed with notes reading "leave or else." She reported it to the police, but Reed, under Karen's influence, dismissed it as kids pranking. Desperate, Lila confided in Ethan Carter, a 17-year-old neighbor who'd been fined for skateboarding. Ethan, with a mop of dyed blue hair and a grudge against Karen, offered to help. "I've seen her sneaking out at night," Ethan said, showing Lila grainy phone footage of Karen's SUV leaving at 1 a.m. "She's up to something." Lila shared the video with Greg, who'd uncovered more financial discrepancies. He traced HOA payments to a shell company, Maple Security LLC, registered under a PO box. Greg suspected it was Karen's front for laundering funds. He began tailing her, spotting her at the Rusty Anchor. When he told Salazar, she staked out the bar, catching Karen with Vince. Salazar's background check on Karen revealed a buried secret. In her 30s, under her maiden name, Karen had run a condo scam in Florida, pocketing dues before fleeing. The charges were dropped for lack of evidence, but the pattern was clear. Salazar now saw Karen not as a meddling busybody, but a calculated criminal. Salazar, Greg, and Lila formed an uneasy alliance. Salazar needed hard evidence to nail Karen, Greg wanted justice for Maplewood, and Lila wanted her life back. They devised a plan: catch Karen in the act at the next HOA meeting, where she'd push for the $500 per household emergency fee to cover her final heist. Ethan, eager to help, hacked into the community center's Wi-Fi, rigging the projector to display Greg's financial findings. Lila, meanwhile, planted a rumor that she'd found proof of Karen's crimes, hoping to rattle her. The ploy worked. Karen doubled down, framing Lila as the vandal. She fed Reed doctored photos of Lila near the gazebo fire, urging him to arrest her. Reed, torn between Karen's charm and Salazar's warnings, hesitated. Salazar confronted him at the station. "Tom, you're being played. Caldwell's using you to cover her tracks." Reed's face crumpled. "I thought I was helping the community." "You still can," Salazar said. "Help me take her down." Reed agreed, secretly recording his next meeting with Karen. She slipped up, mentioning Vince by name, unaware of the wire. Salazar now had enough to move. The HOA meeting was a powder keg. Residents packed the community center, tensions high after the playground was vandalized, swings cut, slides defaced. Karen took the podium, her voice soaring. "We're at war," she said. "I propose a $500 fee to save Maplewood. Without it, we'll lose everything." Salazar stood, cutting her off. "Mrs. Caldwell, explain the $70,000 missing from HOA accounts." The crowd gasped. Karen's smile froze. "That's a lie." Ethan hit a key, and the projector lit up with bank statements, showing transfers to Maple Security LLC. Greg stepped forward, holding printouts. "These are your accounts, Karen. You've been stealing from us." Residents shouted, some defending Karen, others turning on her. Lila stood, her voice shaking but firm. "She framed me. She's behind the vandalism." Karen, cornered, pointed at Reed. "He knew. He helped me." Reed, pale, shook his head. "You lied to me, Karen." Salazar signaled, and officers entered with Vince in cuffs. He glared at Karen. "She paid me to trash your precious neighborhood." Karen lunged for the door, but Salazar blocked her. "You're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and criminal conspiracy." The room erupted. Karen, handcuffed, screamed, "Maplewood needs me," as she was led away. With Karen gone, Maplewood exhaled. The HOA board dissolved, replaced by a committee led by Greg and Lila. The rulebook shrank to a page, prioritizing community over conformity. Lila's butterfly garden flourished, and Mia played freely. Ethan, hailed as a hero, got his skateboard back. Salazar closed the case, mentoring Reed, who vowed to earn back trust. Vince cut a deal, testifying against Karen, who faced years in prison. At her trial, she ranted about Maplewood's ingratitude, her legacy in tatters. Greg, sipping coffee in his study, smiled at the new Maplewood, a little messier, but alive. Lila, watching Mia chase butterflies, felt home at last.